is the way. I just know Jesus is the truth. I just know Jesus is the life. I just know Jesus is my God. What makes you different from one another? What do you argue about who you follow? There is no man that you belong to. There's only one God that can claim you.
How you doing, guys? Jason Kuhn here, giving my Facebook article updates for October 1st, 2013. We'll jump right in here at RT.com. Syrian FM to UN. Terrorists from 83 countries fighting in Syria. The Syrian government is fighting against terrorist groups from 83 countries as part of its constitutional right to protect the country's people. Syrian Foreign Minister Walid Muallim told the UN General Assembly in New York. In a speech to the UN Assembly, Muallim on Monday dismissed the definition of the Syrian conflict as a civil war, saying that the Syrian government is engaged in a war against terrorism that recognizes no values, nor justice, nor equality, and disregards any rights of law. Confronting this terror in my country requires the international community to act in accordance with relevant resolutions on countering terrorism, particularly the UNSC Resolution number 1373 of 2001, he said. Muallim described some al-Qaeda-linked militants who eat human hearts and dismember people that are still alive, sending limbs out to their family members. The scenes of murder, manslaughter, and eating human hearts were shown on TV screens, but did not touch blind consciences, Muallim said. There are innocent civilians whose heads are put on the grill just because they violate extremist ideology and deviant views of al-Qaeda. In Syria, there are murderers who dismember human bodies into pieces while still alive and send their limbs to their families just because those citizens are defending a unified and secular Syria. The Syrian foreign minister said that terrorists from more than 83 countries are engaged in the killing of our people and our army under the appeal of global Takfiri jihad. If you want to read the rest of that, go to RT.com. Let's move on. FreePatriot.org. Virginia Muslim imam calls for terror attacks in America with no response from U.S. government. Wow. A controversial imam is urging immigrant Muslims in the United States to wage war for Islam. That would mean violence against average American citizens. Basically, he is calling for acts of terror in the homeland. Where is Homeland Security? Shouldn't this be addressed and maybe even stopped? Does this not rise to the levels of the basic definition of hate speech? Do we not take the threat of actions of terrorists seriously in this country anymore? Maybe this guy is just another Joe Biden type that you let say stupid things because you know he really doesn't understand the implications. No, that's not it. Shakir al-Assad is a well-known religious leader at a large and prominent mosque in Arlington, Virginia. He's serious. Shakir al-Assad also said recently, the enemies of Allah are lining up. The question for us is, are we lining up? Or are we afraid because they may call us terrorists? Well, Shaker, you are quacking just like a terrorist. You meet the description. How is this hate monger still roaming the Virginia streets, stirring up his followers to attack American targets? If anyone needs to be locked up, it is him. You want to read the rest of that article? FreePatriot.org. Let's move on. Press TV, British woman main suspect in Kenya mall massacre. Kenya security forces have named British woman dubbed the White Widow as the main suspect behind the deadly siege on a shopping center in the Kenyan capital of Nairobi. Sources of the police on Sunday said a large part of the probe into this bloody attack is centered on Samantha Luthwaite. Also on the same day, a classified document from Scotland Yard has claimed Kenyan authorities found Luthwaite to be using her Mombasa residence as a bomb factory. She also rented a house opposite the mall in Nairobi. Luthwaite has been labeled as the White Widow after her husband, Jermaine Lindsay, blew himself up in the 7/7 London attacks in 2005. Wow. The British mum of three got remarried with Abdi Wahid from Kenya and stayed at his home in the African country. Police arrested Wahid in the Kenyan city of Mombasa in 2011 over charges of hoarding explosives at the home he and Luthwaite were residing at the time. Police say an operation is underway to search properties around the mall since the horrific siege that claimed the lives of 67 people. Wow. Interpol has issued an international all-points bulletin to find Luthwaite, a 29-year-old Muslim convert, at the request of Kenyan authorities. Coming to America, to a city near you. Let's move on. The Destructionist WordPress.com. Strange news. Highest ranking lieutenant colonel in NSA was Church of Satan member. Wow. Initially, I thought the allegation to be ridiculous, but I decided to check it out anyway. I found a YouTube video online which shows a much younger man that looks eerily similar to the older Aquino that we know today. The video asserts that this man is Michael A. Aquino, which threw me for a bit of a loop, considering that this man, one of the highest-ranking officials in the agency, now known to be corrupted and illegally spying on us all, could actually have been a high priest of the Church of Satan. Could this be true? In a word, yes. So there you go, high top people in NSA, and there's also one in the United Nations that is a prominent member of the Church of Satan. Let's move on. TheBlaze.com, check out the new gun that allows cops to shoot and capture your DNA. Whoa. A new tool that would allow law enforcement to prevent criminals from running away or disappearing into a crowd before arrest was highlighted last week in The Shot show in Las Vegas. The high-velocity DNA tagging system by the UK-based security company Selectamark was introduced with police officers in a riot situation in mind. Wow, you hear that company? Selectamark? What a way to give you the mark of the beast. Just shoot it on you. Coming in both pistol and rifle form, the tool would allow police to remain 30 to 40 meters from the target and tag them with a Selecta DNA high-velocity pellet that contains a unique DNA code to ensure the correct person is apprehended later. Wow. Coming to America. No, not that homosexual faggot movie starring Eddie Murphy. Let's move on. MrConservative.com. Jailed women sterilized to cut welfare costs in California. And you thought eugenics stopped. Well, this is a story I never thought I'd be reading. In California, of all places, prison doctors have sterilized over 150 women. Why? They don't want to have to provide welfare funding for any children they may have in the future. The sterilization procedures cost California taxpayers $147,460 between 1997 and 2010. The doctors at the prison argue it's money well spent. Dr. James Heinrich on OBGYN at Valley State Prison for Women said over a 10-year period, that isn't a huge amount of money compared to what you would save in welfare paying for these unwanted children as they procreated more. There you go. Eugenics alive in today. Let's move on. Infowars.com, written by Adam Salazar. School apologizes for propagandizing students to love Obama. A Wisconsin school is accused of employing 1940s-style German propaganda tactics after it played a video of celebrities proselytizing an intense love for the state, and in particular, Barack Obama. Administration at the school assembly last week. Now, well, this is only 3 minutes, so I'll give you a clip of this.
You may have seen this video before. It's called I Pledge. It was developed by Oprah Winfrey's production company, Harpo, back in 2009 after President Obama was elected. But at one point in the 4-minute video, for about 20 seconds, it sort of takes a turn. Some would say to the left. And for the Hudson School District and a lot of parents, it feels like it runs right off the tracks. The video was shown during a school-wide assembly at Hudson Middle School. Part of the activities were something called Peace One Day.
I pledge.
I pledge to smile more.
And for the most part, it's hard to argue with the message. Hollywood stars like Ashton Kutcher pledging to do good deeds in their community.
I know you got a pledge. What's your pledge?
What do you think so
I
far?
pledge to be a great. I do too.
Then you get to this.
I pledge to be of service to Barack Obama.
Change.
And this.
That was Michael Kiedis from Red Hot Chili Peppers kissing his biceps, saying he pledges his allegiance to Barack Obama. Here's Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher.
I pledge
To be a servant to our president.
I don't think I like that.
Looks a little bit 1940s Germany.
He does look like probably.
That was Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher saying they pledged to be a servant to Barack Obama.
Propaganda to you.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I think that's the criticism.
I think you have to support our president, but I don't know that it necessarily needs to be put in words like that.
You know,
If you want to watch the full video, go to Infowars.com. Let's move on. TheBlaze.com, former Victoria's Secret model explains why she suddenly quit the industry. I quit being a VS model to be a Proverbs 31 wife, Busiti tweeted to her stunned fans. I don't really like the Blaze. I really could care less for Glenn Beck, but this is a really good article, so I'll post it and read about it. Now Busiti is speaking out about her transition away from the Victoria's Secret world. I don't regret anything that I have done because it's just a testament to how much I have changed since then, she told ABC's Nightline. I only want to be sexy for my husband, Busiti said. You know, when we are alone, and so I don't want to go out in public and be that way for other men to see me. Busiti, who has authored a memoir entitled I'm No Angel, spoke candidly about the dark side of the industry she was once immersed in. The 23-year-old said photos of her shoots found their way onto pornographic websites and recalled a moment where she was called a fat cow by her agency for weighing 118 pounds. It's part of the story, and it does show the change in me, she said. I'm not really here to bash the industry. I'm just here to tell what happened to me in the industry. My agency calling me a fat cow when I was 118 pounds. Busiti now travels to churches sharing her story with young girls. I just want to tell you, you inspired me so much, one girl told her at a book signing. In fact, Busiti even launched her own Christian clothes line, which allows women to showcase their faith while dressing in a stylish manner. Way to go. Last report, ChristianPost.com, 50 hand-picked Christians trained to convince churches to reinterpret Scripture's gay boundaries. Wow, 50 hand-picked Christians were part of a seminal conference last week planned by Matthew Vines, a 23-year-old gay Christian who believes Scripture allows for monogamous homosexual activity in an effort to spread the idea in the American church over the next decade. Wow. Vines says he has had a success in convincing lay members of the church over the last year that monogamous homosexual activity is allowed by Scripture, but is encountering resistance from scriptural scholars. He is likely to encounter much more, say theologians. More than 100 people applied to participate in the 4-day conference, though only 50 were accepted, and the chosen were required rigorously study throughout the summer before the conference even began. Vines sent them 1,100 pages of dense academic reading material, for example, to make sure they understood both sides of the issue before the event began last Wednesday. There you go, 501c3 churches allowing homosexuality in the church, marrying gays now, and that's what you get when you turn your back on God and put the state above God. That's all my news I got for you guys today, but I'll give you my New World Order quote for the day. President Woodrow Wilson, 1916. I am a most unhappy man. I have unwittingly ruined my country. A great industrial nation is controlled by its system of credit. Our system of credit is concentrated. The growth of the nation, therefore, and all of our activities are in the hands of a few men. We have come to be one of the worst ruled, one of the most completely controlled and dominated governments in the civilized world. No longer a government by free opinion, no longer a government by conviction and the vote of the majority, but a government by the opinion and duress of a small group of dominant men. So there you go, and I'll also give you my Proverbs of the day, Proverbs 21:17, King James only. He that loveth pleasure shall be a poor man. He that loveth wine and oil shall not be rich. Thanks for tuning in and listening to me today. I'll leave you guys off the song I brought you in on, by Disciple, I Just Know.
You just breathe in.